Okay, so they say the third is a charm. Is this going to be a charm? Is this going to work? So let me get on my own screen and see if my sound is working. So let me get on my own screen. Alhamdulillah. So let me get on. Okay. So back to Twitter again. Let's see. Third time is the charm or something like that. Man, that was frustrating. Okay. Oh man, that was stressful. For anybody who's gonna see this, because I deleted the other ones. Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So for any of the post viewers, people who watch this later on, I don't know, I was having problems with sound, I was having problems with video. It was just, this thing was like really giving me a hard time. I don't know why my computer was giving me a hard time like this, but man, that was really frustrating. Okay, so let's try this again. Man, I had to delete, you know what? I should delete all those tweets too. I got 80 tweets up now talking about how many times I've been going live. It must look kind of crazy. Jeez. Okay, delete tweet. Yes. Okay. Corona. That in my background, that's the city of Trier. Well, that's my book. And the thing behind me is the city of Trier. That is Trier's oldest cathedral. And I was walking through it and stuff. You know, I'm Muslim though, but I had that's for my GoPro. I actually got a new one that I made with my Insta 360X. But I still have some processing to do while I'm off on these 3 weeks. I'm going to finish it because processing 360 video is quite time intensive. So, you know, anyway, coronavirus. All right, let's get into this because I was talking about this earlier, and earlier I got kind of worked up, you know, because I get mad. You know, I'm a human being. I get upset because sometimes I get the impression people are insulting my intelligence. No problem, Bruce Jones, man. I'm glad you appreciate my perspective. And I got kind of upset because sometimes I get the impression, I don't know, I guess it's social media, and so people, they want engagement, so they just say stuff, you know, and I get that. But at times, you know, I almost feel like they're insulting my intelligence. Look, so before I go into the situation in Saarland, in my particular state in Germany, you know, the overall situation in Germany, let me start off by saying, you're not overreacting to coronavirus. Don't let anybody on Twitter be out here talking about, oh, you're overreacting because you're a little, you know, they say you're a little bitch and you're like, you know, you're a wuss and this other type of stuff. You know, you're not overreacting. Okay. We have to look at the situation for what it is according to our time. Now, from a pandemic standpoint, if you're freaking out, you know, because of the illness standpoint, then you probably are overreacting. I mean, let's be real. It's not just the flu, but at the same time, if you're not within a specific age group and gender, meaning like an older male that had some pre-existing health issue, I'm not an expert, but this is what everybody's saying, you know, in terms of the experts, you're not really going to get sick and die. You know, you can infect people who are around you who are older and get sick and die. But in general, from a pandemic standpoint, the illness isn't really that significant. I'm going out on a limb saying that because when we look at China and what's that place? India, not India, Italy, they're having a serious problem. But we saw SARS, we saw bird flu, we saw swine flu, we saw HIV and AIDS. This is all in my lifetime. We saw Ebola, and Jack Napier, what's good, man, my man. And we saw it tear through populations. Okay, we saw it like wipe people out, wipe animals out, all this type of other stuff. I mean, some of those things were pretty nasty. I'm quite sure I missed a few. So from that perspective, coronavirus, from a pandemic standpoint, we've seen this before. Now, what we haven't seen before, and why I say people are not overreacting, is we have not seen a state level reaction to a viral infection like we have right now. I mean, here in Germany, I remember when Ebola was still funny. Yeah, it was funny. We made horrible jokes. It really wasn't funny. It was terrible. It was a horrible sickness, man. Ebola was nasty, man. People was bleeding out of their guts and their anuses. Let's just be real, man. They were bleeding out all their orifices. They were like, I think they were like falling apart from the inside out. It was pretty nasty, man. You see someone. You can go online and find them Ebola videos. I don't suggest you look them up. Them people were like messed up. So anyway, but the government reaction is something that people are definitely not overreacting to. Listen, in Germany, there's a total lockdown. Unless you have a reason to be out on the street, shopping, you can do your shopping, whatever else. You need to go buy food, whatever else. They're not going to stop you for that. But in general, if they just randomly stop you and you're just out strolling around, you can get in trouble. Now, when was the last time we saw in Germany or in Europe in general a curfew that like was 24/7 curfew? Because in Germany, the last thing I remember was Nazi Germany, where there's entire movies where it's like, show me your papers, And I showed it on Twitter. I actually have papers in my car to be out and about on the street. So if the police stop me, I haven't been stopped yet. And we're going to get into that also, why, some level of concern is warranted. But even though I haven't been stopped, I have papers in my car. Who would have thought just a month ago, not even a month, 3 weeks ago, that you need papers to be out on the streets in Germany? I mean, if people are concerned, you're not really being like, a wuss for worrying about a situation like that. Now they've instituted like a limitation on the right to assembly. And we know that like in the Western world, the right to free assembly is like instituted in every single state. It's like, because people want to protest or whatever else. Although this isn't about protest, it is about like preventing like infections. It's still a fundamental part of like human rights in the West. They just completely dashed that. I tweeted that just a month ago, I was in Bayern flying my yeah, indeed. Oh, okay. All right, Jack. Later, bro. I was flying my drone down in Bavaria a month ago. Chinese, everybody walking around. There were actually Chinese there. There was a lot of Chinese there. I think there were more Chinese there than Germans. And now this week, I can't go in my backyard. And my backyard straight back, my neighbor doesn't have a fence with me. And he's come over, he's helped me like move furniture and whatever else. I can't even barbecue with that guy in my backyard now because he's not like directly related to me. So even though we're on our own properties, which are allowed to be in the quarantine, in the lockdown, you can be on your own property outside as much as you want. He can't leave his property, which doesn't have a fence, and come over to my property, and we can't grill and hang out because it'll be more than 2 people because I got a big family. Why shouldn't you be worried? I mean, they're telling you can't hang out with 2 people on your own private property. That's worrisome. That's something to worry about. Anybody who's on Twitter or on social media saying, it's not a big deal or whatever else, blah, 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 they're full of it. They're full of it because nobody has ever experienced this. None of us as Westerners have experienced this anywhere in the Western world. Show me where in the Western world you have seen government mandated lockdowns of businesses, private businesses and corporations telling people you can't go to work. There were some situations presented to me where it's like, after hurricanes, we couldn't work, this, that, the other. Yeah, they couldn't work because there wasn't work because everything was destroyed. But if you were willing to get into a car, or if you had a functioning car or public transportation, you could drive to a city or a town where they were not affected and work. You can't do that here. They've shut down people's right to earn money. But we're not worried. This isn't serious. I mean, people they're sitting here making laws. They just passed a law today saying that landlords cannot kick people out of their houses if they can't pay rent. Dude, that's pretty serious. I mean, we got the government just basically disrupting the entire economy as we know it. You guy can't pay rent because we told him he can't go to work. Sucks to be you, Mr. Landlord. Ha ha ha. When in history have you personally, experienced a situation like that, where the government just said, hey, you know what? You can't kick that guy out because he can't pay rent. Now, I'm not advocating kicking people out because they can't pay rent, because they can't go to work, because the government said that you can't go to work and therefore you can't kick this guy out. I get it's a chain reaction of farkery that everybody's kind of stuck in. But the point is, they have come along and just out of the blue, just turned the entire economy as we know it on top of its head. It's for a few weeks, but you don't think this is going to have some sort of lasting repercussions? You know, like people aren't going to be freaked out 10 years from now. Like, yo, you remember that time the government just came and just like changed everything and nobody did anything and said anything? If they can do this, what makes you think they can't do other things later on that are bigger? This is the elephant in the room. Maybe the virus itself isn't, but the reaction of the government and how easily they just been like steamrolling entire rights and entire economies out of the blue like this, that is the story. That's what you're supposed to be worried about. And even when I say worried, there's not really much you can do. There's really not much you can do. You can't just go down there and start protesting, whatever. They're like, oh, you're more than two people, and they're going to come and whack you in the head and throw you in jail. Nobody's going to go out and protest. But the point is that I'm trying to make is that we got people on Twitter talking about like, oh, you know, you're a wuss, you're this, you're that, blah, 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 yada, yada. Okay, why aren't you concerned? And the point is, if they aren't concerned, there's multiple reasons why they're not concerned. One, they're in a state that hasn't like enacted draconian laws, you know, and therefore they're not affected. Two, they don't understand the gravity of the situation, which is probably, you know, the most viable and valid explanation. Three, they're just jealous because coronavirus is taking away their Twitter attention. Or what else did I miss? Man, that's really about it. I mean, you should be concerned. You're not overreacting if you're concerned about the situation. Should you panic? No, because I honestly believe the situation is going to go back to normal. But you have to be prepared for when it doesn't, you know, and that's the worst case scenario. And how many times have we seen in our lifetime the worst case scenario? We haven't. And so I don't think we're going to all of a sudden see one now. But if we do, just be prepared, because things are looking kind of goofy. I mean, I work for a major global corporation. It's a big corporation. I mean, they are a massive engineering corporation, and they shut us down. And then they were talking about laying everyone over 57 off after we come back after these 3 weeks. Dude, I can tell you right now, they might as well just shut that company down, because everybody in that company is like 5 years away from retirement. that company will just be closed if they send everybody home who's 57 and older. That company won't last. So it's having far-reaching repercussions already. So this is a new situation for all of us. I'm 47 years old. I'm probably the oldest person here. I don't think anybody watching is older than me, or anybody who will watch this is older than me. If you are, then okay, fine. Nevertheless, even if you are older than me and you're on YouTube watching a video, no one has a frame of reference or of experience for a situation like this. Not unless you lived in North Korea. If you lived in North Korea, okay, fine. You're used to draconian laws that just are very haphazard and don't seem to make sense to us, you know, as free Western people. But I don't believe that any of you are from North Korea. So, yeah, you know, I gave some comparisons here on my list, and I just wanted to compare some things here so that you understand, like, the perspective I see it from. Because, you know, I still consider myself an American, even though I haven't been to America in a long time, and I have that sense of liberty and freedom and whatnot. But this lockdown, I mean, you have to think about it. It's a lockdown. Now, the lockdown means that you can't, and I covered this already, that you can't leave your house without permission or without a purpose. Tell me that doesn't sound like an open prison. I mean, when we look at like these blue collar prisons where they like have open prisons and the guys can go out and they can do a little shopping, or they can go like, you know, those like low crime guys that, you know, didn't really do anything. And they got the ankle bracelets or something like that, you know, or the guys that get stay at home and they got the ankle bracelet on and that beeps when they go outside the house. Tell me we're kind of not like in that situation right now if you can't be outside of your house without papers. What's the difference between you and the person with the ankle bracelet right now? If you can't go outside without papers or without a specific express reason, there is absolute zero difference between you and the guy who was under house arrest with the ankle bracelet on. Because if he leaves his house, he gets arrested. If you leave your house, you get stopped and fined. What's the difference? You are technically a prisoner. Are you really? No, but yes. Because if you go outside, you're going to get in trouble. If you go walk around in Germany and wander around the streets and see what happens if the cops stop you, you're going to get busted. The guy who's not supposed to leave his house with an ankle bracelet gets busted. So, is it serious? Yeah, coronavirus maybe not be from an illness standpoint, but the resulting effect on you as an individual and your individual freedoms, very much a problem. So talking about Saarland, so I want to get into Germany. I want to talk about Saarland and just basically so you guys have an understanding of the situation here, because I usually post news on my channel and it's all in German. I read and I speak and write in German. You know, I work in a German environment. I work in an all German environment. Nobody speaks English there but me. I mean, the people speak English, but we don't speak it actively. You know, unless it's a joke and I'm telling a joke and it just doesn't translate right. Otherwise, everything is done in German. So the work environment is German. So it's just my second language, and I post the news. It's a lot of work sometimes translating that stuff. So I apologize to anybody who doesn't speak or read or write German and doesn't use the automatic translator, because that's what my wife does. My wife uses an automatic translator. But I'll just give you a brief rundown of my state and an overall general picture of Germany. So Saarland has a total, my state has a total of 383 cases. As of Saturday, it was like 176, I believe. And today, on Monday, from Saturday to Monday, it's 383 cases. So it's apparently going to get worse. Although that's not a significant number, it's actually been contained quite well out here. It's not spreading as rapidly as like other places like France and Italy. It's still spreading rapidly. Now, a great number of those cases are actually law enforcement and nursing staff. They've had to close multiple hospitals here in Saarland, which is already having a problem with hospitals because the state is actually, it's a very poor state. I call it the armpit of Germany, and I don't actually want to be here. I'm only here in this state because my children are here, and I want to be close to my children. But this state is a broke state. So hospitals were already closing. The closest hospital to me in the next neighboring town is closing down like next year. And now we have hospitals that are closing because they're short-staffed, because most of the staff are getting sick and they're getting infected. Then we've had police stations closing down because a large number of police who are out patrolling and whatnot and dealing with situations with people like, you know, going crazy with toilet paper or whatever, are coming in contact with infected people and themselves becoming infected and then are being quarantined at home. So we've had multiple police stations also closed down in the state. Most companies, major companies in the state are closed down. We have a Ford factory here. We have several other large factories that support those companies. They've all closed down. My company, which is a very large one, we also support Ford and a few other, like, you know, massive, large, actually we support all automakers. So since they all shut down, since we no longer have any clients who are producing vehicles, we have shut down. Sabah Ali says, let me post this up here. She says, Sabah, she says, how come so many so-called first world hygienic countries are suffering more than unhygienic so-called third world countries? You know what? Actually, I just have a hypothesis. I could probably be wrong. I'm very not medical type of person, but you know, I would say it's like, you know, they say there's a saying in German, Dreck macht Speck. Like they're saying, like it basically means dirt makes you fat. But what that means is that, like, you know, you get a strong immune system from being dirty. And in the third world, since you don't have like very hygienic situations and environments, those people are just naturally tough. I was married to a Somali girl and a Kenyan girl, and them women have rock solid iron stomachs. They could eat the most garbage food and just like ride it out, and I would get diarrhea. Sorry for the extra information, but the simple fact of the matter is they could eat straight. Like, you could like throw some food on the ground, kick it in the dirt, and they would eat it. I'm not saying they actually did that. I'm using hyperbole here. You could kick the food around on the ground, they could eat it and like just ride it out, and I would, like, my gut would just be bubble guts and twisted and just, you know, just like. So I think they're just tougher than us, those people in the third world, because they have to be. That's just a simple fact. You know, they get stung by a mosquito or something, they're like, whatever. We go out there and we need malaria injections and all sorts of, like, you know, tests and whatever else done. in the hospital with a fever for something to them that's just like, whatever, you know. So that's what I think. So basically, small companies and small stores, they have been shut down. Also, they have specific hours that they're allowed to be open. Some are not allowed to be open at all. And so basically, everybody like hair salons, like the guy who works with me in the office, his mother has a hair salon. She's an older lady, so she should be closing anyway. But now he said she might just close it all together because she's basically running such a tight margin with her rent and all her supplies and what she owes and what she pays that she's not able to stay open. My mechanic right down the road down here, he said the same thing to me. He says, I don't know if I can last 2 months like this. He's like, you know, I got loans, I got this, I got that. They run an entire race team. And so they have like very expensive equipment in their vehicles that so expensive that some of it they have to take on loan. So you know, he's like, I don't think I can last 2 months like this, you know. Saarland has closed its border to like all of its neighbors. So France, Switzerland, Austria, Luxembourg. We're not with them, but basically in Germany wide, Germany has basically closed its borders to almost everybody. I'm not sure who they're open to. You can still get international flights into the country, but some places are cut off. You are absolutely forbidden to go to France, and actually travel between some states is not allowed. Like Bayern, they don't want anyone from Saarland going to Bayern or anyone from Bayern going to Saarland. So if they find out in Bayern, and you can look this up, it's on the links that I actually put on my Twitter. If they find out that you are from Bayern and you went to Saarland and then come back, you can be fined 25,000 euros. So you no longer have the right to freely travel wherever you want within the state of Germany. This is another result of like this entire situation. So, you know, you got to imagine when everybody says this ain't that serious, I can get fined for driving from one German state to another one, 25,000 euros. Now, I'm not a rich guy. That's nothing to shake a stick at, in my humble opinion. That's you know, that's a pretty decent sum of money. You know, so if you don't think that's something to be concerned about, then you must be a multimillionaire. You know, and that's good. Hey, awesome, dude. But for the average German and the average person, you know, that's pretty draconian. And the funny thing is that we don't even have a border with Bayern. Baden-Württemberg is actually between us and Bayern, and Baden-Württemberg doesn't have like have that rule. So, you know, this is generally Merkel is pretending here. Yeah, Merkel, dork. She's out shaking hands and whatever else, playing this open border still, and got herself sick. What a goofball! You see, like Putin sick. You see Trump sick. What a goofball. Even Boris, what's his name? Boris Yeltsin, or not Boris Yeltsin? Sorry, the guy in the UK who's like, hey, we're gonna keep doing what we're doing here like this. He ain't even sick. He's like, yeah, just keep doing what you want to do. And he's like, oh, don't shake my hand. He's not even sick. But Merkel, Boris Johnson, thank you. He ain't sick. But Merkel, I'll shake your hand, sure. You dork. Oh man. So yeah, that's basically the gist of the situation here in Germany. The German government is now talking about potentially tracking people's movements using their cell phones. Now, if you don't see the threat there in terms of the breach of privacy to you as a private citizen, when the government feels that they have the right to track you using your cell phone data, see if you're staying at home. How do they say in the movies? God be with you. God save you. You know, I mean, may Allahu Akbar, may Allah protect you, because you can't protect yourself. You don't see the problem there. If you don't see the danger there, if you don't understand the danger and the threat there, the government being able to track you with your phone, again, and maybe you're in a place, and maybe you're in a country, maybe you're in a state where, this is not something that's going to happen. Beautiful. But those of us who are affected by something like that, I don't see that it's a problem that you are concerned with it and you talk about it. It shouldn't be a problem. So don't let anybody out there make you feel like you're being a wuss, or you're being weak, or you're being like soft by being concerned about situations like that. I don't care what anybody says. I don't want my girl knowing where I'm at, tracking me on my cell phone. You think I want some random stranger in a government office tracking me? And I love that woman. So who's this weirdo behind some desk over here? What's he want? Why is he watching where I'm going? No. That's a problem. That is a major problem. And do you really think they're going to stop doing that? They're just going to be like, yeah, the coronavirus situation's over. We stopped tracking you guys. You really think they're going to do that? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What we got here? It says, Idle says there were rumors in the UK that the government were going to force phone carriers to hand over location data to customers to see if they're quarantining. I mean, in Germany, they're just talking about outright tracking you. Using basically your registered cell phone address to see if you're like staying in the vicinity of your house. I think that's pretty. I find that rather rude of the government, to be honest. I mean, I could be suspicious of my girl and I wouldn't track her. I'd be like, I think she's cheating. I'm just gonna fire her. I'm not gonna chase her around. I mean, you know what? You just go on return to the streets, ma. I don't know where you were. I don't care where you were. You just go back over there in the street. So I don't want to know. So the idea of the government tracking me or tracking my people, I don't find that something to not be concerned about. Why would you be so nonchalant about this? You're a wuss for worrying about it. Really? Maybe I need to relocate. Maybe I need to keep my eye on this and look at places that aren't going to do this and move there because this is potentially very dangerous on an individual and a national level. So yeah, Fire 77 says most countries are still letting migrants in, though. That is a problem. I do believe Germany is still letting migrants in. Someone was telling me, I can't remember who it was. Anyway, I can't remember who it was. Someone tweeted that to me or was talking to me in private chat that like basically people are still coming in the country. And yeah, I mean, we should just go straight Russia. Russia just closed the borders. You don't see Russia. Russia is not doing all this crazy stuff. They just closed the borders on like screw it. We don't care about what's going on out there. Y'all can stay over there looking all sick and nasty, whatever else. And their infection rate is very low. Something like 60 people. I don't know. I don't keep tracking the numbers. I don't really look at it because really, about when this first kicked off, they already knew something was wrong because it's like the first thing I read. I remember reading some doctor in Germany said the chains of transmission and infection can no longer be traced. And I was like, well, damn, it's a bit late already. They don't even know who or how or what, who had connection to who touched who, whatever else. Just like right down the road from here, the first infection in my area, the first local infection, the guy hadn't traveled. He hadn't been around anybody. He just goes home and work, and he had popped up sick. He's like some wild corona virus Pokemon. And he's like, look, oh, it's a coronavirus Pokemon. The dude just got sick out of the blue. So, I knew something was wrong and something was off right there in terms of the illness. So it's obviously it's going to spread, and it's going to spread rapidly. It's going to continue to spread for quite some time, or Allahu Alam. That's what it looks like. But that's not what I'm concerned about more than anything else. I'm more personally concerned with the government reaction to these entire situations. And then to top it off, yeah, that was yeah, 500 lives in the streets, forced people to stay home. That was actually like satire. It was a joke. It was a joke article. But and then Germany changed like its personal and private weapons laws. Now I find that also odd. So as of the 1st of September, crossbows and like compound bows are considered to fall under standard firearms weapons laws, and you will no longer be able to buy those with the sole requirement of being over the age of 18. Because currently, the sole requirement for buying a crossbow of any weight pull, is to be over the age of 18. And they changed the law that now you have to have a standard firearms weapons license in order to get a crossbow. Getting a weapons license in Germany is not something that's simple. It's not. It's not difficult. No, it's difficult. They don't make it easy. So it's just weird that all this stuff is like happening in one year. Maybe it's a coincidence. I'm not going to go into conspiracy theories and all that stuff. I don't want to talk about conspiracy theories, 5G and this, that, the other, and lizard people taking over the world. It's not what I'm concerned with. I'm just looking at what's happening on the ground. So Otto says I might have to buy a crossbow for decorative purposes. I mean, if you want to, Otto, there's actually some serious hardcore crossbows out there. The crossbow I got will actually penetrate. You can find videos. I can link you video of the crossbow that I'm buying penetrating the trauma plate of a bulletproof vest. So because of the mass of the arrow, and the foot-pounds of the bolt leaving the crossbow, it can penetrate a bulletproof vest, whereas a bullet cannot. So I'm a gun guy, but I had to give me some crossbows. Rolex Maximus says Canada has 1,558 cases. Dang! 25 deaths, 112 recording, according to CBC Minister of Health. How do you know the cause of death is the coronavirus? Well, I mean, they're going to have to do post, what is it called? After death testing. It's the only way you'll be able to tell. But back to the point of this live. Guys, you are not wrong for being concerned. You're not overreacting. The situation is a bit odd. It's a bit strange. And the reaction of the government is definitely strange. I mean, these guys are literally going out and doing stuff that can cripple the entire economies. And, you know, the first week of this in Germany, everybody's like, yeah, okay. And they're out doing weird stuff. You know, me and the wife were out doing some shopping. And they got weird stuff. Something I never saw in Germany before. They actually had security guards at all the stores. Now, I don't know if that was government mandated or if the stores just took it upon themselves to do that. But I'm getting the impression because so many stores did it, it's probably something the government said you have to have like security at the doors. Now, I've never seen security at a shopping, at an Aldi and a Lidl. And you know, I just never seen this. You know, security guard standing at the door at a grocery store. This is the weird thing. So there's just weird stuff's going on in general. Not here, Fire 77. That's one thing we haven't seen. There has been no talk of like, you know, military getting involved as far as I know. I've been watching the news. At least for the state of Saarland, there's been no talk of the military getting involved with police action. But if they keep closing police stations here in Germany, I mean, here in Saarland where I'm at, who knows what's going to happen? I mean, maybe they'll bring in the military, maybe they'll bring in police from another state. I don't know. If they're willing to do that, you know, I mean, everybody I think is actually kind of stressed and like, you know, doing their own thing. But who knows? The fact that we'd even think this right now, would the military get involved with police action, civilian police action in Germany, which seems possible and plausible now, is not something I would have thought of a month ago. And this brings me back to the point of the tweeters and the Twitters and all these, you know, people talking crap on Twitter. Absolutely none of this was foreseeable like a month ago. 30 days ago, nobody would have guessed there would have been like entire national lockdowns, border lockdowns, people telling they can't like meet in groups of two, that you got to stay in your house, that you need papers to travel outside of your house. A month ago, nobody could ever predicted this. So if this doesn't fix up real soon, what's going to happen in another month? If things economically start getting worse, and they will if you keep companies closed and telling people that you can't keep people out of your house because they can't pay the rent because this company's closed, it's going to have an economic chain reaction. What else is going to happen? They've just flipped the economic system on top of its head with that alone. They've flipped our entire systems of freedom on its head, like within 2 weeks. Like I said, we are akin. We are equal to a house arrest prisoner, to a house arrest criminal. Because just like they can't leave because of their ankle bracelet, we can't leave. We don't have our papers. So don't listen to those people talking about you're overreacting. You're not overreacting. I mean, maybe if you're talking, you know, you're hoarding toilet paper or something. Yeah, you're a goofball, you know. If you're 26 and you're in prime health and you're worried about dying from, you know, respiratory problems from coronavirus, you're probably a goofball. You know, if you're 67 or 70, you know, and you're a smoker, legit concern over the virus and the reaction of the state. But you as young people, generally, us as I'm a semi-young person, you know, 47, the virus we can hammer through, we can power through. But the state hammering and powering through that's a different story. You know, because again, like I said, how are we going to get all this back from them if they're not willing to just like, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, you can have it back. Yeah, we're just going to carry on with this whole papers thing. Maybe we just don't want to let you go outside without your papers. I mean, I find this stuff worrisome, man. I don't know. Governments, they're not really known for like, taking power and then giving it right back to people. Like, okay, yeah, sure, we're done. Does it always work like that with governments? I don't know. Maybe my history books are wrong. Ahmed, man, I can't speculate, man. I don't know, bro. There's so many theories. There's so much information out there on the virus itself. Man, I don't know, bro. I have no idea. I actually don't even. I don't even want to speculate because just the reaction that the governments are having alone is enough. If it's man-made or not, if it's man-made to trigger this response, if it's not man-made, let's say it like this, Ahmed. At this point in the game, right now, where we are, it no longer matters. It's no longer relevant or significant. It's totally irrelevant point at this point where we are in the game because the reactions that the governments and the actions that they're taking are far more significant now than the outcomes of the illness itself, of the virus itself. Especially for a guy like you. I'm looking at your picture here. You don't look like you should really be peace to you, Shadow. Hadouken. You don't look like you need to be worried about it. I mean, whether it's man-made or not, that's less of a concern at this point. Because okay, if it's man-made, then what? How are we going to track down who made it? If we track down who made it, it's going to be like a major nation, China, America, UK, whoever else. You gonna go to war with those guys? Obviously not. If it's not man-made, what are we going to do? We're going to just keep doing what we're doing. So at this point where governments are like locking people down, making us basically house arrested prisoners in our own homes for no crimes, whatever else, other than like there being an illness out there, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You see what I'm saying? Experts saying that it's animal disease that mutated somehow. It could be, bro. I can't always I don't want to get into it. Like I said, I don't want to get into theories and stuff like this because then no one look like all crazy. This is not my specialty field, man. I work in an engineering company and I'm a studied English teacher. I look crazy talking about like viruses and stuff. Yeah, it's a global flex. It would seem like that. Shadow said, I don't know. Let's see what he says here. Shadow Hadouken said, I don't know if it's true, but I heard that the guy who created the virus China was killed by the virus. Let's say this: if a guy can create a virus that can be this like infectious, and you worked in a laboratory, that means it'd probably be a government laboratory or a very, very, very expensive private laboratory. And imagine yourself, Shadow Hadouken. Imagine you as the head of that laboratory. Now, this is how Abuamerican thinks. So I'm sitting here, I'm like, I run this laboratory, and that genius scientist just made this super infectious virus, and it got out. Yeah, we've got a loose end over there named the scientist. That guy's a loose end. He's gonna die. He has to die. He's gonna die in an accidental car fire. He's gonna die accidentally hung himself while doing his laundry. He's gonna get freaking Hillary Clinton for sure. So if someone did create it, he ain't around no more because that's a loose end because this is a big deal now. You can't have anybody who worked in a laboratory who created that stuff walking around just fruity do with information they could like tank you as a nation and make the world mad at you. Anybody, if it again, we're at a point where it no longer matters whether it's man-made or not. But if it was man-made, all those people in the laboratory, if Abuamerican was like the head of the nation of that laboratory, where that laboratory is, I'd kill everybody in the lab. I don't care if it was 1,000 people working in that lab, you're all going down. Because I'm not going to be like, well, Abuamerican, leader of nation Abuamerican, he made this illness. Everybody's looking over me like, Trump and Merkel and, Boris Johnson and Putin and all the world leaders over there looking at me in the corner like, yeah, we're going to get you, homeboy. I ain't having that. I'm off all the people in the laboratory. You're all dying. So if it was man-made, those people probably are dead. It makes sense. Man, they're all over the place with this, man. They said the dog that first got it, they transferred it to a human. Then they said dogs can't get it. Then the dog who had it died from it. Dude, this is what I'm saying. Because all this stuff is speculative speech. It's all I can only look at the real world results in terms of what the governments are doing and how the government's reacting. Because all of this other stuff, it just goes into deep science and research that I have no clue about. So it's a bit difficult, to discuss. Yeah. They're saying this blew up in September, which exposed virus. I don't know. I've never seen it. But I haven't seen an article on that, man. I've never seen it. If you got an article, I'm more interested in reading it. I mean, I just find it very curious at this point. Whether the weapon, like I said, I blame the Chinese. I ain't gonna lie. I blame the Chinese. I'm gonna say it like Trump said. It was China. I blame them. It's their fault. Okay. Let's just put that out there. Abuamerican will say that. I blame them. And we should cancel. We should cancel those guys. They've just. What have they brought us, man? They brought us like human rights violations, cooking live dogs, and eating weird animals alive. They seem to like to torture animals before eating them alive for some strange reason. Plastic rice, painted vegetables, and now Wuhan virus. Those guys need to be canceled. They need to be canceled. They're nothing but trouble. Yes, excuse me. And international espionage, both on the military and on the industrial level. Those guys need canceling, okay? I'm just saying. Abuamerican said it. Cancel China. Worldwide governments agree on things. No news. Jeffrey Epstein killed himself and locked down. Yeah, Epstein, he killed himself. For sure. He probably got coronavirus. He's out there right now with coronavirus. Oh, man. Guys, so if you're on Twitter, if you watch this, if you're watching this live, you watch this later, don't be concerned about the Twitter heads talking about you're a wuss. You're not a wuss, man. Just be smart, get prepared for the worst. And you really can't do nothing other than prepare and hope. Preparation, basically from the Islamic standpoint, is, tying your camel. And the hope is your tawakkul, You put your tawakkul in Allah and you tie your camel. Because we know from the Hadith, Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, tie your camel. And at the same time, you have tawakkul. You have your sufficiency and your hope and your wishes in Allah. That's all you got, man. That's all you can do. Prepare, be ready. I don't think anything's going to happen. I don't think it's any worse than it already is right now. But be ready. Like I said, who would ever thought that, like, economically they were going to flip the entire world as we know it on top of its head? Listen, I'm still getting paid even though I'm off for the next 3 weeks. I could just not pay my rent and just say, hey, you know what? It's because of the Wuhan virus. I didn't pay my rent. And my landlord can't do anything about it. I could just save myself a month's rent. Now, my rent's not crazy. It's decent, so I'm not worried about it. But if I was an unscrupulous type of person, and you can imagine how many unscrupulous type of people there are in the world, you could just claim Wuhan virus. I'm off work. I got like entire letters and everything showing that I'm off work, and I just don't have to pay my rent. But what's my landlord going to do about it? You can't kick me out. Ha ha. That's the weirdest situation in the world. A month ago, you couldn't tell me that, hey, Abuamerican, if you didn't pay your rent, your landlord can't complain. It's a weird time. It's weird time, man. It's weird time for it. So, everything as we know it is basically getting flipped on its head. Not everything. Let me not exaggerate. But some basic principles of, like, freedom of movement, gathering, economics. It's kind of weird out there, man. And this stuff affects your life. It affects your life. There's no problem with being concerned with talking about, discussing, looking for answers for situations that affect you, in your life. You shouldn't obsess over it to where you become inactive and you don't do anything other than seek information. No, seek information and look for solutions and ways to capitalize on those situations. That's what you should be doing with your information here. But otherwise, there's no problem with that. There's no problem with looking for information and talking about it and, discussing it with people. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise, because this stuff is going to have an impact on everyone, from the rich to the poor to whoever else. If you're not like super duper well connected or super duper rich, everybody's going to suffer one way or another. to a degree or not, to their level of suffering. And of course, the super rich aren't going to suffer like the super poor, but they're still going to, everybody's going to face an impact on him. And so it affects you. It affects your life. There's no problem discussing this stuff. You're not a wuss for discussing it. You're not a wuss for being concerned. Don't let anybody on Twitter tell you otherwise, man. Yeah, these people on there, man, I think they just say stuff just to open their mouths, just for engagement and get a reaction out of people. Fire 77 says we're supposed to be getting a stimulus check to pay our rent in the U.S. if it passes. Okay. Well, America, welcome to socialism. Welcome to socialism, America. It is what it is. I think Germany does the same thing. Germany has that in place also already. So if you're off work, you're paid by the government. Some of Hollywood is saying they have it. I don't believe them. You can't tell, man. I mean, they can say anything, so we don't know what's going on with those people. Just worry about yourself and your family. That's all you can do. Get as much information as you need to take the necessary steps to protect yourself, and that's about all you can do. I just want to make this broadcast because I just find it very disingenuous, very dishonest for people to be on here. Just it's like a coping mechanism at this point. Like they're trying to convince themselves on Twitter that they're not scared and they're not worried or whatever else. And I'm not saying people are scared, but this is just brand new. This is new territory, and nobody has been here before. And so them acting all nonchalant and chill, like oh, I'm Superman, ready for everything. Okay, Superman, ready for everything. All right, great, awesome. Well, we're over here like astounded that the government's doing crazy stuff that they've never done before. We're completely gobsmacked, and we want to talk about it sometimes. We're like, yo, did you see that crazy stuff that the politicians decided that they were going to do with us and our freedoms? Yeah, I saw that, dude. Isn't that nuts? And then sometimes we come up with some great ideas and alternatives, like tracking people with your cell phone. You know what I learned on Twitter? Get a Nokia. Get one of them old school little blue Nokias that doesn't have all this data and all this like nice little stuff on it, all this technology, and leave this at home. And if your family needs to contact you, they can contact you on your little burner Nokia. I never would have thought of that. It's a very simple idea. Discussing this stuff on Twitter brought me to that. Okay, you shut up and you over there. There's some smart people on Twitter. I want to listen to them. I want to hear their ideas. I want to ping ideas back and forth. All right, Mr. Genius, you cool old tactical dude. You're so awesome. You got it all figured out, and we're over here. We're just panicking, whatever else. All right. Okay. All right. Well, I want to know what, I want some ideas. I want some concepts. Sorry, my camera's like, there we go. Let me get the focus on the hand and the focus up to my face. I want to focus on my face. Anyway, folks, come back. I think. What are you doing? Anyway, I'm out of focus. Whatever. What was I saying? Blah blah blah. Ideas, concepts. Yeah. Yeah. Don't let anyone make you feel like you're stupid or make you feel like you're, make you feel bad for like, looking for information or discussing, the situation. From a virus level, I don't know why my camera's out of focus. This has just been a crazy, like technical. There we go. It's like from a technical standpoint, this has been a bad day. I had like started this live like 3 or 4 times with technical problems. Now this, whatever. And there's some specific accounts, that I'm talking about. It's nobody I like. Let's put it like that. It's people I dislike, already, and then they're just out here, and the reason why I dislike them is because of the very direction that they're taking with their tweets in regards to this entire situation. And that's all fine and well if these guys aren't affected by the situation in the current environment and how it's altered our lives. That's all well and good for them, but some of us are out here living in this stuff. Some of us are directly or adversely impacted by it. I'm not personally, but I can be. Germans are getting angry, man. Germans are upset. They're, at work today, they're like, the story doesn't make sense. I don't know why they're overreacting like this, because now you're playing with people's money, and this is Germany. Mad Germans. When was the last time you see some angry Germans, man? I distinctly remember some guy, on some old black and white film. That's what happens when Germans get mad. I'm in the middle of Germans who are getting angry. I don't want to be around a bunch of angry Germans, okay? I can't blend in, all right? I can't just go hide in the crowd and just be acting all chameleon until I get out of the country, all right? I kind of don't fit in with the demographics around here. I need to think about like exit strategies and worry about angry Germans, all right? I'm happy for you that you're a white guy in a white country and you can talk all big, but I'm a black guy in a white country and I got to worry about angry Germans. Okay? They may like me, but I don't know all of them. I don't work with all of them. Okay? I got to watch the temperature on the ground. I got to walk there. Okay? This guy, this is funny. I go into a pharmacy. I had to pick up some medication. I go inside the pharmacy. This German guy, he's like, "Hey, how you doing?" I'm like, "Hey, I don't know this guy from chitlin stew. I never had chitlin stew. Alhamdulillah. So I don't know this guy from nothing. He just, how you doing?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good. How are you?" "I'm good." He's like, "Hey," and he comes over to shake my hand. I'm like, whoa, buddy. And he was like, "Oh, we can't shake hands." No, he said, "Let's hit elbows." I was like, "Yeah, okay." He had a long sleeve jacket. I had a long sleeve jacket on. We hit elbows. There's just a bunch of weirdos out here, man. That is, really weird. So, yeah, this is how much they like me. The guy was probably infected and wanted to shake my hand. That's how much they like me. I don't know if he's infected or not, but it was a bit weird. Like, why would you? Ew. I got disinfected in my car anyway. I got a whole bottle of disinfectant. It's an idea, guys. You can go out in public. Just an Abuamerican tip. I got a bottle of disinfectant and I just spray it on my hand. It's like this stuff right here. This was empty. And I just spray it on my hands. I spray it on the shopping cart. Just like smells like straight alcohol. You can probably set it on fire. I'm quite sure you can set this stuff on fire. And I disinfect everything. And then when I go back into my car before I get in my car, I spray my hands again and I wash my hands and disinfect it. That's the best. And that's as crazy as I'm going to get with viral infections. But with the government, these guys got me worried, man. I'm a bit worried. I mean, just from the aspect, let's talk about this again. Let's go back into the main topic. Let's stick to the topic. Guys are saying you're being a wuss worried about coronavirus. Yeah, I'm not worried about coronavirus. I'm 47 years old. I'm in pretty good shape. I have no respiratory problems or previous health problems. I'm in pretty good shape. If I get hit with it, I'm going to survive. But there's a bunch of like cops on quarantine at home. Who's patrolling the streets? Who's patrolling the streets? We ain't got criminals in Germany? Of course we do. So why shouldn't I be concerned? So I got my weapons, I got my crossbows, I got my machetes, got my guns and whatnot. Come on by if the cops can't. Come on by, Mr. Criminal. You might actually have something good on you. And I'm going to bury you in my neighbor's yard. I'm just saying, if you come and try and rob me, I'm probably going to bury you in my neighbor's yard. It's true. I'm just being honest. You just need an excuse. But this stuff you have to know because, okay, I probably would have buried someone in the backyard, but that's an awkward thing to admit on a lie. So anyway, let me try to stay on target here. The point is, the average person needs to know this type of stuff and the effect that it's having on their surrounding society and life. Like I said, hospitals are closing. It's not a big deal. Coronavirus, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, and all the nurses are sick and they close the hospital in the next town over. Now, I've got kids, maybe you got kids, maybe you're walking down the steps, you fall, you break your leg, and your woman's got to take you to the hospital, and she doesn't know because, coronavirus is a joke, doesn't know that the hospital's closed because coronavirus has infected all the staff, and you drive there with your broken leg and internal bleeding inside your leg to the hospital that's closed. Let's not be stupid, guys. You want to call the cops. Well, should I have bought that gun? Or those 80 pallets of toilet paper? and you don't know that the cops are all getting sick and they're all at home, and he's not going to put on his uniform, coronavirus infected, and come save the day for you and the missus when the crap hits the fan. But hey, you're tactical. You're not scared because coronavirus. I can power through it. Of course you can power through it. But that's not the point. The point is the outlying effect that it's having on society around you. And that's what's dangerous. This right here, what Jay Smith is saying, that's dangerous. That's dangerous. Coronavirus is dangerous. That right there, what Jay Smith is saying, the government is going to take over, that's dangerous. Because they suck at doing anything right. They suck. The private sector may overcharge you, but they'll do it right generally. My company has a total of 6 people who were infected. I know some of those guys. I've worked with some of them. So my company now has a total of 6 people between 2 different departments that got sick, that got infected. One of my seen daily. I should probably get tested. I didn't shake his hand. I studied away from him. But this guy always comes in, wears glasses. He comes into my department to pick up the goods for his department to take to his department. And the other department is one of the production lines. I work with those guys. He actually, one of the guys that got sick gave me a jacket that I'm always wearing. It's a very nice tan jacket that I wear. He gave it to me before all this popped off. That was months ago. So yeah, I actually know some people who got sick. Yeah. One of them is Polish. The other one is German. So, I mean, they're not personal friends, but I work with them, you know. Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You know, Z Silverwing, you're making a good point here about like the UK government. I don't understand the UK government's reaction, man. You guys just acting like nothing going on. I'm looking at videos and pictures over there. You guys are just hanging out like, you know, y'all seem like to be like trying to gather together instead of like spreading apart. People like it's like a challenge or something. Hey, who can get infected next? I don't know what you guys are doing over in the UK, man. But what? I love my British brothers, man. Y'all. I spent some time with y'all, but y'all a special kind of people, man. Y'all a little bit different, man. So I don't know. Maybe it makes sense. Y'all over there on that island, and you know, it's like being. I guess they call it like cabin fever. I think y'all got island fever. Y'all just kind of like. I ain't insulting y'all. I'm just saying. Your Brits are a bit different. I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm not insulting anyone. Okay, don't take it as one. I think we all caught it already. It's just better immune systems. Maybe, who knows? I think you're actually partially right. I think it's far more. I think they call it asymptomatic. I think there's a lot more asymptomatic people out there running around with it than we actually know. And Allah knows best. I made a point clear enough about like this coronavirus, about Twitter, about information, about talking about it, tweeting about it, whatever else, being online, looking at it. Okay, don't really drive yourself crazy with it. I think there's like an entire like Modern Life John. I'm on a show, Dude Party on Saturdays. He like puts up this video of like this entire channel just dedicated to like numbers globally. You know, it's got some dramatic music playing in the background. You know, I'll slap you if you're a person that I know watching that garbage. Don't get obsessed like that. Yeah, 75% are asymptomatic. I don't know about the percentages, but I'll take your word for it. Yeah, quite a few people are probably asymptomatic. But you know, don't obsess over it. Don't obsess over it. I mean, I report what directly affects me. I'm generally not talking. If you look on my Twitter, I'm tweeting specifically about stuff that's in the region around me. And that's why it's all German language, because out here in Saarland, where I'm at, there's not many English-speaking people. You go to Rhineland-Pfalz, one state over, there's a lot of U.S. military installations and bases there. You'll find a lot of English language information, but I'm not there. We're on a neighboring state to it, yes. But since I don't live there, I'm not really concerned with what's going on over there. I'm concerned with what's going on right here in my backyard. And so you should be doing the same thing, because if anything hits the fan, and I don't think it will, but if it does hit the fan, it's going to hit the fan in your neighborhood for you first. You can get a general idea of what's going to happen around you. Maybe something will happen in the next day over. But you're not concerned about that. Does it come into your state? Does it come into your zone? Does it come into your area of operation and comfort that you need to react to it? Absolutely. It's like watching a fight happen like 4 tables down at a restaurant. Do you need to be worried? Okay, we're concerned there's a fight going on over there. We might want to get up and leave. But when that fight gets up and then like you're sitting next to the door and they're like running towards the door and everybody's slinging and throwing stuff around, then you need to worry about it because now it's like in your direct vicinity. It might affect you. It might affect the people that you care about that are with you. Then you need to be concerned. So worry about your immediate circle and your immediate area. Don't worry about like this entire global situation because globally you can't do anything about it anyway. But in your direct environment, you can take care of yourself. You can gather information. You can like learn some new tricks and tips. Like if the government actually starts tracking people's phones, I'm going to give you a Nokia burner. That's just something I would have never come across if I hadn't discussed this on Twitter. If I hadn't put that information up on Twitter, I would have never known. Not that I would have never known, but it would have never occurred to me. I was talking about it at work because I was like so proud of that guy who told me about that. And I told it to this guy at my job, and he's like, "Yeah, that's a good idea." He's like, I might go get one right now. Now, do we need to all go out and buy Nokia phones like this, like it's toilet paper, like new toilet paper? No. We need to wait and see what's going to happen with the government. When the government decides that, hey, we're going to start tracking you guys, yeah, we'll go get one. But until then, keep an eye on your environment, pay attention, and be ready to act accordingly, step by step. Don't just like be going all over the place, doing all sorts of crazy stuff, paying attention to stuff way over there. When people tell me about the UK, it's interesting. I'm concerned because I have a lot of brothers there. I have family there. My daughter's there. My mother's British, so I'm concerned about my brothers, my sisters, my daughter, my family members over there in terms of the Muslim community and my actual blood relatives. But at the end of the day, there's not much I can do, so the most I can do is be generally informed with their situation, but specifically informed in my situation. Now, here's why this is important. This is why I'm telling you this piece of information about paying attention to your direct environment. Generally, because we're an interconnected world and our environments are so similar in terms of the Western world, what works in your environment is going to work in another environment in general. So you can tell a person, you know what, such and such happened in my situation. You guys are now coming up on it. When we had this happen, boom, this is what we did and this worked. Now the next person has a basic framework to follow. Of course, every environment is going to be different. So therefore, the situation is going to be different. Your reactions are going to be different. But you have a general idea and framework of, okay, this happened, that happened, that happened. This is what we need to look out for. If it happens, we know what to do. If it doesn't happen, we're at least prepared for it. So prepare for your environment, pay attention to other environments. And, as a general, like I said, the fight's over there, pay attention to what's happening. But what's concerning you right now is your direct environment and how it can affect you. Don't go, chasing a bunch of useless information. You're just gonna fill your head up, and then in a month from now, it's like, well, I was prepared for a situation that took place in Wuhan, China, while living in Germany. Don't be that guy. You know what I mean? If I hadn't heard about the cops getting sick, I wouldn't have ordered a bunch of weapons because I know for a fact, like Saarland is the gateway to Germany over the French border for methamphetamine drugs into Germany. It's the gateway state for all of Germany. So my state is the state where the methamphetamines come through from France into Germany and then into wider Germany because this is a broke state. Like I said earlier, this is a poor state. Now, the reason why I'm telling you all this is because this is why you need to know the information of your specific area. You don't need to know the world's, information on what's going on and obsess over it. But had I not known that, I wouldn't be able to put that connection together. Number one drug dealing state in Germany. Cops are getting sick. Police stations are closing down. Do you not see the problem? Drug dealers, low police presence, and you. Guys, so pay attention to that stuff. Just pay attention to what's important to you and those people around you and how you protect them, what you need to do to take action in order to protect yourself. If something specifically pops off and blows off in an environment that's relatable to yours, okay, fine, look for more details. What happened in Wuhan, China? I can't implement and translate that into Saarland, Germany. But if something happens in London, then I'm going to look at it and be like, okay, what happened? I'm going to start talking about this. What did you do? What happened? This, that, the other. Negative, positives. This, that, the other. Did you take action? Did you not take action? Contingency plans. Be ready. But there's no problem with that, guys. You're not being a wuss. because I guarantee you, all these Twitter heads talking all that stuff, they're going to be the first guys panicking, because they were so calm and cool and they weren't so prepared. Either that, or those are the guys that are out actually with 8 pallets of toilet paper in their basement, thinking they're prepared, and then they're on Twitter talking big tough stuff, or they're actually prepared, and they have the right to talk tough. Like we got certain brothers, we know brothers who they are, and dudes I like, they're prepared, they're well paid, they're well stocked up, they're training, they're prepared, they can talk crap. But are you them? Are you well stocked up on money, supplies, and are you training? If not, no. Well, then get to work. Do your thing. So, and if you don't know what to do or how to do it, how are you going to find out if you don't go online and discuss it with people? If you're clueless, and there's so many clueless people in our age, how many people actually know what they're doing out there in terms of life in situations like this? No one, because like I said earlier, we've never been here before. Nobody that I can think of that's on internet actively has been in a situation like this before. If they have, I want to hear about it. But they haven't. So this is new territory for all of us, man. So you have to pay attention, because if by chance something does go wrong, and I don't think it will, a surprise isn't going to be a good one. I'll tell you that right now. It ain't going to be like surprise morning sex with your girl. It's not going to be that type of surprise. It's more like surprise prison butt sex, and you're the recipient. You don't want to be that guy, okay? Make sure you're on the right end of the stick. Make sure you're on the right end of the surprise, okay? Just be prepared. And there's no problem with being concerned with it. There's no problem with talking about it. There's no problem with seeking information about it and saying, hey, you know what? I think this, I think that. Hyperbole, hypotheticals, my brother Ahmed, Barakallahu Feek, no problem. I'm not crapping on my man. But like, was it man-made? Was it not man-made? This, that, the other. This stuff is no longer relevant. That was relevant, in terms of a leak. And like, hey, you guys are making something. We heard rumors that you guys are making something. And what if it gets out? That's gone. Those freaking barn doors of blasting the horses done ran off and kicked over little kids and ran through the China shop. And they're across the planet now. The importance of that is no longer relevant. So, because now, even if you find out it was man-made, someone needs to make a cure. A cure needs to be man-made. And if just because they made the virus doesn't mean they made the cure. You know what I mean? So it's irrelevant at this point. But what is relevant to you is how you can be prepared. And you're not going to be able to be prepared without two things: information and action. You need to gather information and take action. And it needs to be appropriate. Again, I like my example. I understood the necessity of protecting yourself and your family in a state that has a high drug problem, and a low police presence. Police stations closing. I've never heard this before. Police stations closing. I've heard police stations opening, but closing because of like sick cops. Jeez, man. What the frick's going on out there? So, yeah, guys, that's basically the point I wanted to make. I posted a crossbow on Twitter. I can repost it, I guess. I can retweet it. Yeah. It's the one I ordered. It's a tactical crossbow. I forgot the name of it. I actually ordered. I'm waiting for it to show up. It's a tactical crossbow. It actually has like a reloading magazine, 6 shots, and it is like high powered. Comes with open sight reticles, laser pointer, tactical flashlight mounts, everything. Just like it's designed specifically for taking on human beings in a combat situation. It's not designed for hunting animals. It's designed for combating people. So it's on my Twitter. Jay Smith asked, will this last till Ramadan? Allahu Ta'ala, Allah knows best. Ilmu Ghaib, his knowledge of the unseen. Allah knows best. The way it's looking, the situation, I think will last for a while with the government. As to whether or not the infection will last until Ramadan, only Allah can tell. But I don't think the governments are going to let up on everything that they just got from us, and hoodwinked us into, under the guise of protecting us from viruses. I don't think we're getting any of that back. It says, I can't do this for the next 3 months. This is problematic. What do you mean? I don't understand that. Do what for the next 3 months? No, I haven't. I haven't watched anything from Muhammad Hijab. Actually, I haven't watched anything from him at all. I don't have any time, bro. So mm, I haven't watched anything from Muhammad Hijab. Unfortunately, no. Abuamerican. Yeah, no. Anybody got any other questions or whatever else? It doesn't have to be about this topic, but otherwise, we're gonna slowly shut this down. It's been like an hour and 10 minutes. So if you got any general questions, I can answer whatever. You know, your girl driving you crazy, your guy driving you crazy. Jay Smith, I absolutely. Oh, hijab, like Muhammad hijab. I thought you were gonna say hijab in general. Hijab is awesome. I think all women should wear it. You mean Muhammad hijab? I don't know anything about him. I thought you were talking about hijab in general. I was like, hijab is actually quite awesome. Yeah. So what's up, guys? Have you guys actually prepared in any way, shape, or form other than buying, like, toilet paper? Please don't tell me you went out and bought a bunch of toilet paper. I will stab you with this pen if I find out you went out and bought a bunch of toilet paper. Oh my gosh! And you know what's funny? Me and the wife, we were in the store and the toothpaste section was full. I actually bought like 2 or 3 tubes of toothpaste. Or 2 or 3, whatever. I bought a bunch of toothpaste. That's full, but the toilet paper section is still empty. Let me see. He has said that congregation. Yeah, a lot of the scholars have said that it's better to pray at home, or there's an obligation to pray at home. That there's the allowance to pray at home. The scholars have been talking about this quite regularly. What do you mean when you say you lived with multiple women? I mean, quite literally, I lived with multiple women in one house under one roof. I've done it multiple times. So, yeah. Obviously, I'm a Muslim. I'm obviously a polygynous Muslim, and I've had multiple wives, and sometimes I have roofed them under one roof. I've housed them under one roof. Excuse me. Is Islam red pill? I think it's the other way around. I think red pill is actually Islam. When you look at a lot of the concepts from red pill, I mean, a lot of its basic principles, it would seem or would appear at its surface, came from Islam. Islam was there before red pill, so obviously you would have to say that Islam is more of the foundation than anything else. Of course, red pill guys aren't going to say that they took the concepts from Islam, and they probably didn't. But a lot of the concepts and ideas come from old school understanding of intersexual dynamics, and Islam bases a lot of our principles and our rules upon the interaction between men and women. We have a lot of rules and regulations on it, and they actually are quite, in that sense, red pill. We have a lot of things that oppose red pill ideology also. So you have to look at that also. There's things that they have problems with that Islamically are not problematic for us. Like, let's go into the topic of a real big red pill issue is single mothers. Islamically, there is no problem with marrying a single mother. There's no great reward and there's no great disadvantage, but it's also not a problem. From a red pill perspective, that's like an absolute no-go. Islamically, what matters is the iman, the Islamic belief and practice of the woman who you are marrying. And if she happens to be a single mother, Islamically, then she's a preferred woman to marry over a woman who is quite lewd and she's out there. She belongs to the streets, but she's also Muslim. What are you going to marry? What's preferred? Islamically, it's preferred to marry a single mother who's Islamic over the never married woman who has no children, but she's out there in the streets and she belongs to the streets, even though she's Muslim. And we know we got hojabis, for lack of a better term. We have some in the ranks. So in this particular regard, a lot of red pill guys will be like, oh yeah, hit it and quit it and go smash. And they'll go smash the girl who's in the streets. And they'll stick with that and they'll build a relationship with that. Obviously haram for us. in the sense that they don't have a problem with haram relationships, as opposed to actually having a righteous, proper marriage with a woman who has the same kid. Now, of course, we're giving an example that's an exception here, just to clearly show an extreme case of how there would be an opposition Islamically between that and red pill. But that's an extreme case, that I just made up. But there are some opposition. There's quite a few oppositions between red pill and Islam, but there's a lot of red pill that is in congruence with Islam. And like anything, Islam, for us as Muslims at least, Islam takes precedence over all else. So in this regard, it's like cooking. If we see a recipe and it calls for pork, we know that there's turkey bacon. There's halal turkey bacon you can buy. So you can get rid of the actual pork bacon and use turkey bacon. But if something calls specifically for like red wine and you can't make a recipe without red wine, well, then we abandon the recipe altogether and we can't make that recipe. But what we can use, we adapt. And what we can use directly, we use directly. What we can't, we adopt to our purposes as Muslims. And what we can't adopt, we abandon. Islam takes precedence overall for us. So, yeah. Hopefully that answers your question. Yeah, I work in the auto. It's kind of the auto industry. We supply. If you drive a car, you have our parts in your car. I'll just say that. I don't bring my employer up on this because I don't want my employer connected to my to my Abuamerican whatsoever, because it has nothing to do with my Abuamerican. So I don't mention them. But if you drive a car, you have our parts in your car. Period. There's no car in the world that doesn't have our parts inside of them. And I am a purchasing agent and systems manager for SAP. So I manage their SAP systems, and in that inculcated into that job is purchasing. So I do purchasing and SAP management. Yeah, I will say the single mother links Islam because if she is divorced and she has a child older than a certain age, the child will be with the father. And in general, that's another thing. And when we look from an Islamic / red pill perspective, also Islamically, the children really should be with their father after a certain age. So if she remarries and the children reach a certain age, the children generally should be with the father. I mean, this is an Islamic principle. So, yeah. Yeah. All right. 1 hour and 20 minutes, guys. So I feel like I ranted myself out. I have a headache. Probably from talking so much. And yeah, I am off for the next 3 weeks, guys. The next 3 weeks. Up until like the 14th. Where is it? Yeah, the 14th. Tuesday, April 14th. I go back to work. So I'm going to be doing a lot more lives, hopefully. Just, if anybody wants to come on, hit me up. I'll send you a link. You can come on live with me. We can chop it up and joke or whatever else. You can have your camera off, but your mic has to be on or whatever else. I don't care. But I'm probably going to be live quite a bit. So I got a lot to talk about. I like to run my mouth and joke. Guys, thanks for tuning in. The man, Abuamerican. I will catch you. Oh, okay. Jay Smith, hit it, man. You gotta make it fast, bro. I was about to pop my exit. It was good, bro. Hit me up. Jay, I need that question. I'm gonna actually, Jay, you're gonna give me an opportunity to do something. Type this while Jay types his question. Let's see who's gonna be faster than me or Jay. No, Jay, don't let this old slow man like beat you. If I'm faster than you, Jay, it's a fail. I'm like 47. I know you're not as old as me. Jay, everybody's waiting. Me too. Hashtag me too. Okay. Why can't let's see, Jay? My computer's acting all crazy. See, this is what happened here. Anyway, I was gonna put the links up for my book. Obviously, my computer doesn't want to make it happen. Behind me, over here, is my book, The Mad Monkey, and I have all the links. And I was gonna post them in the chat. If you're interested in my book, you can go pick it up. It is on iBooks. It is on Amazon. It's all over the place. You can get a hard copy, you can get a soft copy, digital copy. It is not on audiobook yet, but I'm working on that for an audio edition. We'll see what happens. Oh, wait. WhatsApp is open. Jay, you ain't got much time. Once I post this link. Anybody else got a question while Jay is trying to dig up his question while he's typing out this book here? I don't think Jay's in the chat anymore. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to call it a night then. I'll post the links on Twitter. Thanks for tuning in. It's Man Abuamerican. I'm out.